Welcome once again to an episode of the Fateful Few podcast. I am your host, Antonio Consenta, and like always, our maestro, Kevin Coleman, is behind the camera and behind the beautiful production here on the Fateful Few podcast. Are you still checking us out? Won't you hit that subscribe button, like, and share? If you're hearing this on YouTube, Spotify, become a subscriber and we will make sure you get some of the best information. We want to be here as a resource to you to help your life get better. And so today, and also I want to show off my run the ball pullover from Funny Man. So you go to funnyman.com. And Jeremy, if you're out here watching us, hey, we need sponsorship. Holla at your boy. So I just wanted to shout out a hometown hero in Birmingham, Alabama. Appreciate all you do for the University of Alabama. Roll Tide, roll. And so today I just kind of want to talk about parenting and talk about a situation in me and my wife's life that has kind of changed our thoughts on parenting and what we do with our family. And I just want to go right into it. About a year ago, my wife was pregnant with our son, Judah Benjamin Consenta, and everything started out exciting and well. But as the pregnancy went, he began to have fluid on a side of his body. And what that is called is hydrops fatalis. And it's where there's fluid buildup in a baby's body, and it causes issues with their internal organs, and things aren't able to grow as they should. And so on what should have been just a normal visit to the doctor before we went on vacation, we went in and we were aware that it was fluid on one side. But when we got in there, my son was with us. And when we got in there, the doctor the specialist, came in and said not only had fluid was still on one side, but it was on both sides and making the baby swell. And so we had to have an emergency C-section. And just think about that. You're going in for one thing and find out just on a whim that you have to, at 31 weeks, have your child delivered. I don't care what your background in, and I guess especially for the Christian, you think you're gonna be so strong and think you're gonna be so I'm full, but until you are really challenged, you don't really know what's in you. You don't really know what you can withstand. There's something called tensile strength, or the ultimate tensile strength test. And it's something that they do with materials to see what its breaking point is, because you can't put weak metal or weak materials to hold up a building, because it'll collapse on itself. It may look pretty, but you put pressure on it and then it'll fall apart. So there are things that we can really go through in life that can really test our strength, to really test, do you really believe what you say you believe? Do you really believe what you've been saying for all these years? When those challenges come, then you have to dig inside to say, who am I? I know I've been saying I'm something, but who am I really? And so with that, God was able to help me to be strong for my wife. Because just think about that, ladies. You go in for just a specialist visit and you're going on vacation in 2 days, and they tell you out the blue that not only is what we thought was going wrong worse, but your baby is going to be delivered 9 weeks early today. Think about how that would feel. I don't care who you are. And so we were able to, get ourselves together. It's 9 o'clock, a 9 o'clock appointment. By 11:33, well, I'm skipping some stuff. Well, we have to get somebody to pick our son up. And so get him secured in a way. I call our parents and say, hey, you know what? Judah's going to be delivered early today. I'm not, at this point, I'm in full-fledged Jesus mode now. So I'm like, yeah, he's going to be delivered today. And you hear the steadiness of my voice. I would tell him on the phone, I need you to be just as confident because we're in a situation where we don't need any doubters around. And that's what you have to do sometimes. Tell people, look, before I even tell you what's going on in my life, I need you to hear the strength in my voice that if you have any doubts, just hang up the phone before I even tell you what's going on in my life. Because some people can't bear the weight of what they're dealing with and what you're dealing with, and that's okay. Everybody who you think is going to be supportive will not be, not because they don't want to be. They just might not have that capacity to be that strength at that time. And so the few people I did call, they were people of faith, people that I knew that if I needed to be held up, they could hold us up. And so we're going into the OR room, and as I walk in, my wife was already prepped, and I walk into a room and see about 25 to 30 doctors there, and I see my wife there, and my mind is like, oh my God, they must know something we don't know. They must be expecting something we don't expect. And so I sit behind my wife, and we're just, conversing with one another. I prayed with her, and then that's about 11:30. About 11:33, he's here. And it's like what I thought I had 9 weeks to prepare more for. He's here. And they rush him off and began to work on him. And I'm there talking to my wife, encouraging her, let her know she did a great job, which she did with the C-section. And shout out to Dr. Charles Gregory Banks at Brookwood Hospital, who led the charge on that. Thank God for him. Thank God to the specialist there, Dr. Gonzalez. They did an awesome and amazing job because it could have been fatal if we had went out of town and something happened, complications, and we're 200 miles, 300 miles from home. So I thank God for what they were able to do to prevent anything happening while Judah was still in the womb. And so they take him off, and they're working on him, and then a couple of hours later, we're able to go see him, and we could tell that he was still sick and that there were some things going on, but we believed and we had faith that God would do the impossible and bring him through it. And about a day and a half later, and listen to how I say this, God in his love allowed Judah to go into heaven with him. And I've got a human part that's touched by that. But I want you to know, I still trust God. I still have faith in God. Would I want him here with me? Yeah. But I've got a faith in God that tells me he's in control of everything, that he is the leader of everything. It calls me to see God as a father in a different way that I've never seen him before. Remember, this is about parenting. And so going through that with my son, I understood from God's perspective as a father that this is my mercy to you. That's what he told me when I wondered, like, Lord, why would you let us get excited by this? Why would you didn't have to let her get pregnant because you know everything and you still allowed this to happen. But I had to understand as a father that God allows things to happen to make us stronger. And for those people that are skeptical out there, to say, well, God, that was just mean of him. No, it wasn't. It's his mercy towards us. That's what he told me. This is my mercy. That he took him up to heaven with him, because to him he didn't have to face being rejected in life. For him, he didn't have to face having his heart broken in life. He didn't have to face burying his mother and his father. He just came to earth for a little while, taught even through his life, taught us all to be strong, taught us to be faithful to what we said that we believe, because we believe that God in his faithfulness and his graciousness, that he would heal Judah on this side of life, but he decided to heal him on the other side of life. And I find myself like David saying that that he can't come to me, but I will go to him. So I don't talk about him like he is lost. He is ahead of me, because I'm one day going to go to where he is, and he cannot come back to me. So I want to encourage parents today that have lost a child to understand that those children are not lost. Those children are in heaven with God, waiting on you to get there, waiting on you to see them on the other side. And even for children that have been aborted, for those parents that are going to go to heaven, those children that were aborted will be there waiting on you. They will be there not with eyes of despise or not with resentment, but they will be lovingly there waiting on you. You made a mistake. You were going through something. But in God's graciousness, that child is not lost. And I want to encourage parents that have lost adult children, and I'm quick to say I've never lost an adult child, and I do not want to, but I can say that there is hope on the other side of loss. And if you allow it to do what it's supposed to do, if you allow it to cause growth to come in you, it has helped me to be able to parent differently. And when I say about my parenting is different, is that I'm not as easily agitated by my son. I've got a 4-year-old, and we all know how 4-year-olds can be. They can go from super happy to super upset in a matter of 10 seconds. And then 30 seconds later, they're back happy again from being extremely sad. And that could be frustrating as a parent. But after you lose a child, I'm glad that I am here to parent him. I am glad that we're not in a hospital room. I'm glad that he's here. Just last night, he got paint on my wife's white rug. And maybe a year ago, that would have frustrated me or wanted to discipline him, but you know what? We were painting together, and he got paint on the rug. So what? We can get a new rug. But if I'm hard on him and really discipline him really harshly, then did I hurt or harm the relationship because of something material. Even my discipline has changed in my child, and I don't know what you all thoughts are, but we believe in spankings in this house because that's God's way. Just look in the Bible. I believe in spankings. I don't believe in beatings. I don't believe in abuse because abuse is abnormal use. And so I don't use discipline abnormally. But I do spank. I just do enough to get the point across. Just like God would do with me, because I wanted to know, Lord, how am I supposed to discipline? Because I don't want to do anything that would harm him beyond getting the corrected behavior is my aim. It's not to bring harm or hurt to my son. And I sit down and I talk to him. Now, I used to just react and put that down. But now I talk to my son, understanding that he is just a small version of me. He's going to be a man. He's going to be a man one day. And so I'm just dealing with a miniature version of a man. And men like to understand the things that are happening. So I sit down and say, son, you cannot do this. You cannot do that. And this is why I asked him last night. I said, son, do you know why you get spankings? And his answer was, because I don't listen sometimes. And I said, that's very good. I'm glad you know that I'm not just trying to be mean to you. I'm not just trying to exalt myself as using my authority to hurt you. He understands that he get a little pop on his hand with a belt or with my hand, just firm enough to know that, hey, buddy, this is not going to be good, so stop what you're doing. And that's just teaching them what life is going to do. As an adult, life is going to spank you if you don't pay your bills on time. Life is going to spank you if you don't exercise right. Life is going to give you a negative response when you do things that are not right. And so spanking is just spanking is imposing what life is going to do to them, and it's coming from a place of love that I have for him. That, son, I love you too much to allow you to act like that. And so I discipline from a place of love. I instruct from a place of love. I have intentional time with him. Like we were painting last night. And this is another thing for our parents. Make sure you have intentional time with your kids. Just because you're in the house don't mean your children are going to know who you are. They're not going to know the values of the family unless you have that intentional time. We sit at the table now that we didn't do before. We sit at the table now. We make sure the phones are off the table. We make sure the phones are not readily available. And we have taught him where if one of us, my wife or I, slip and are looking at the phone, he just says, Daddy, we don't have phones at the table. And so he's getting it. He's learning a good family dynamic. And let me tell you, one of the best advice, tips that I received about being a good parent is to have a healthy marriage. A healthy marriage is a good first step to being a good parent and parenting kids correctly. If you have a good open marriage with one another, open communication, open love, let your kids see you hug one another, kiss one another, talk lovingly to one another, then they're going to learn that, hey, that's how I need to relate to a man, or that's how I need to relate to a woman, because they saw the good example at home. So I hope today encouraged you. I hope today has brought some hope to your life. And I'll be talking further about the situation with our second son, that in God's mercy, he took him home to glory with him. but I want to encourage you to keep moving forward. I want to encourage you to keep your eyes on God, and I want to pray with you today. Father, I pray for every parent that in every family that has experienced loss today. Father, I pray that you give them strength in those midnight hours after everybody has gone home, after all the help has left, after the texts and phone calls have left. Father, let them know that you are still with them, that you're still thinking about them, that they are still on your heart and mind. And Father, help them to get past those triggers that can come to them to bring back those same feelings of hurt. Father, let compassion flow to them. Father, send somebody their way with a right and ready word of truth, of encouragement, of help. Let them know, Lord, that they are not being over emotional, that they've not lost faith in you, but they're human and they feel these human emotions and they're in pain. Lord, let them know that it's normal, but if they cast their cares upon you because you love them, I love them today, and I pray for your strength today out there, Mother. I pray for your strength out there today, father and siblings and mother, grandmothers and grandfathers and all extended family. I pray the strength of God to you in Jesus' name. And I thank you again for watching the Faithful Few podcast. Wherever you may be looking at this, if it's YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It's Spotify, Apple Music. We are everywhere. So make sure you smash that like button and subscribe and share. And until next time, we love you.